So how are you? I hope self-quarantine is treating you well, but you've been able to get outside, get some sunlight, get some fresh air in your lungs. I haven't. I've been locked inside all week. What's up, folks? My name is Karama, aka The Blurred Girl. Welcome back to my channel and another episode of Stream This, where I share with you all the fun sci-fi, anime, and fantasy stuff that you can stream without cable. Before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe and click that little bell down below so you don't miss any updates. And if you like the content that you see here, please support me on my Ko-fi page. I really appreciate it. So if you've been trying to find something else to watch without buying another streaming service, this is the episode for you. We're talking about 3 sci-fi and fantasy shows that you can stream on Amazon Prime. First up, we have The Expanse. Now, The Expanse is one of my favorite shows. Now, the show is adapted from a series of novels by the same name, written by James S.A. Corey. Now, in this universe, the Milky Way has been basically terraformed. Just about every planet in the universe has been terraformed because Earth is pretty jacked up and almost unlivable. So now humans live all over the galaxy. The show basically focuses on 3 main groups of people. The Earthers, which obviously live on Earth, is run by the United Nations. Every country on the planet has put aside their differences so that they can somehow figure out how to fix their Earth's problems or get off world. Speaking of get off world, there are a group of people who left a couple generations ago to try to terraform Mars. I'm assuming Elon Musk would be like in this group. They haven't gotten very far though, they're still living under a dome. But believe me when I tell you, the Martian army is no joke. Now the Belters are very interesting. The majority of them live on large asteroids that are literally between Mars and Jupiter. This is the other reason why I love this show. The science is real. They've never been in gravity, it's not good for their bodies. They exist on their own, but they're often exploited by Mars and Earth. Now this is the backdrop that the plot unfolds in. A rich Earth socialite turned activist goes missing, and her disappearance is directly tied to a scientific experiment gone wrong. The result threatens to decimate all human life in the galaxy. You got Mars blaming Earth, Earth is blaming Mars, the Belters are caught in the middle, and that is when this crew that didn't even know each other before this whole thing happened gets thrown together and ends up having to try to solve this mystery and save the universe, basically. You've got your Earthers, 1 captain and kind of medic, 1 engineer who's sort of mentally unstable. He's also a weapons expert. You also have a Belter who is a chief engineer, and you have a Martian pilot. In addition, you'll also meet a Martian soldier. She is not to be toyed with. And finally, 1 badass UN dignitary with the most fabulous wardrobe this side of the Emirates. And of course, it's not without its firefights, its romance, its dirty politicians, there's even Mormons, but that's a whole different story. All 4 seasons of The Expanse are fantastic, and they're all up on Amazon Prime now. Next up, we're talking Tales from the Loop. Now, this show dropped on Amazon Prime in April. This show is like Stranger Things meets Twilight Zone meets Eureka. I don't know how many of you remember Eureka. Joe Morton was on it, Joe Ferguson was on it. You remember the Maytag guy? Anyway, I digress. So Tales from the Loop is a period piece that takes place in this small Midwestern town, and it's run by Russ Wilson, who is played by Jonathan Pryce. Now, the Loop is the Mercer Center for Experimental Physics in Mercer, Ohio. It definitely takes place sometime between the 70s and 80s, which is what reminds me of Stranger Things, but it's a little different. Like, even though you see kids in class using like papers and pencils and people are using rotary phones, outside the classroom, there'll be like big transformers that don't look like they belong there. Or you'll see like used robots that are just along the road or in the woods. The show has a lot to do with children. Not that there are no adults in it, there's plenty of adults in it, but it's told from the children's point of view, so they don't always understand some of the discussions that the adults are having. It's a really good show. It's got some really interesting storylines pitting technology versus like human problems. For example, a girl finds a piece of technology that has the ability to stop time, but in doing so, she goes home to find out that her mother's been having an affair. And in another instance, there's a situation where these 2 boys find a piece of technology that allows them to swap bodies, which they do a couple times. until one doesn't want to swap back, which is very weird because it turns into this weird kidnapping, body snatching sort of situation. So although each episode can be watched individually, like Twilight Zone or Black Mirror, there are always one or two characters that link everything together. Now, I will say this show is very slow. It's very deliberately paced. I like the execution of it, but I'm just letting you know that if you spent the whole day on TikTok, you're going to need a nap or an edible or both before you get into the show. But Tales from the Loop is definitely one to check out. Now, last but not least, we have Upload. Now, this show feels to me like The Good Place meets Black Mirror, except everybody knows what place they're in. It takes place in a future where we have self-driving cars and very interesting dating apps. And when your body is going to die, upload your consciousness into a virtual reality simulation of heaven-ish. This one looks more like a Hampton Inn, but that's a whole different story. No, this is not related to altered carbon. This is not like stacks and drives and things like that. No, this one, your body's done, your sleeve is done, and your whole brain gets put up into this mainframe. Now, the series follows a young app developer named Nathan Brown, played by Robbie Amell, who is the victim of a weird self-driving car crash. After a rushed deliberation with his shallow girlfriend, Ingrid, he chooses to be uploaded into her family's luxurious afterlife program, Lakeview. Now, once Nathan is uploaded into the program, he meets his customer service angel, Nora, played by Allo. And she really helps guide him through this next phase of his life, and they become really close. And I kind of think she had a crush on him from the beginning. It's fun, it's quirky, it's really a look at not just death, but life itself and what's meaningful. And what we're putting our energy and our money on. Because, oh my God, in this world, they managed to monetize the afterlife. The interesting thing about the world, though, is Allo's character. She's a coder, basically, and she's making ends meet, but she doesn't have enough money to pay for her father to become part of the Upload program, even though she works for the company. Now, the other hilarious part of the show is Lakeview itself. Now, it's clearly a construct, but obviously, just like any other computer program, it has its glitches, it has its backdoors. Clients only get what they've paid for. So Nathan's got it pretty good because his girlfriend's family is rich. Other people don't have it so lucky there. So it's a really interesting way to look at capitalism in this future society. And Robbie Amell, if he looks familiar, it's because he was in Flash in the first season. And if he looks like he kind of favors Stephen Amell, who played Arrow on the CW, that's because they're first cousins. And Allo was in Dear White People, and she also starred in Black Lightning in the first season. And a bit of trivia about Andy, she's an amazing singer, and actually at one point she was Prince's protege. Yup, that Prince. Listen, if you want to hear more about Upload, check out the Blurred Girl podcast because I got a chance to talk to Robbie, Andy, and Greg all about the show and what it was like basically releasing it in the middle of a pandemic. Thanks for watching. Listen, comment below. Tell me what you think. Have you seen these shows? What did you think? If you haven't seen them, are you interested in watching them? I'm really curious to know. Also, what are you watching this week? What's getting you excited or what's getting you through for real? Please subscribe, comment, like this video, click that little bell so you don't miss any future updates, and don't forget to support me on my Ko-fi page. And I will definitely see you on the next episode of Stream This.